Wow. It's a lot harder than it looks. And I talk for a living, as in like I talk to people, I like to create these connections with folks. And I thought it was going to be a lot easier because you see people do it all the time, but you don't see all the bad ones at the beginning. You see after all the ones. So I told myself, let yourself suck for a year and then figure out if you still want to do this or not.
Happy to be joined today by JP Ngo. JP has ownership in Our Mom's Restaurant, Lana Oliver Productions, is very heavily involved in the Louisiana Restaurant Association, a ton of nonprofits, and just a great person to be around. JP has just this amazing energy to him. We talked about lessons learned year over year, what it's like being a working dad and a working husband, and just what ultimately fills his cup is to pour into other people and learn from them and get better with them over time. So hope you guys enjoy.
Hey, it's Armin with Attract. At Attract Advisors, we offer accounting advisory, tax advisory, as well as financial management services. We're lucky enough to work with very many hardworking, talented entrepreneurs across many different industries. Many of these individuals are world-class in their sphere and have great stories to tell. This is our way of highlighting their accomplishments and their insights, and we hope you enjoy these conversations.
That's all this is. So
No doubt.
once you start having a conversation, you forget that these things are here, and then you're just like making that connection. And then when you said time capsule early, I love it because when I first started, I can see how like my, not leadership style, but some of the things I thought have changed, and not changed like 180 change, just added on, right? Like, well, now I can say this on top of this. And it's just, I was like, why didn't I know these things before? But those insights come from these conversations that you have with people, because like I think a certain way, and then you think a certain way, and then when we talk together, I'm like, dude, I never thought about that. It's so eye-opening.
It is. And obviously you started your podcast, you said in October. And so I can remember when we started ours, there was a sense of like, who do you think you are?
Exactly.
Like, who do you think wants to listen to you?
I was like, no one's going to watch this.
And like I asked the guy, bless his heart, he's a mentor to me. He's really old in age. And he's been the CFO at like major publicly traded companies. And he lives here in Baton Rouge. And I asked him the other day, like, man, would you consider coming on my podcast? He's like, absolutely not. Like, do you even get any views? And I said, the same thing we talked about off camera is like, it's not really about the views. And that was really, I guess, a microcosm of how I feared people would react to me starting a podcast. And I get that every now and then. But then again, I also get like, hey, John, I saw you posting a lot of content. Are you like a professional speaker now? And I'm not, but you know what they say, perception is reality. Yes. And so all of a sudden, like when they have a meeting with me, they're like, man, so tell me about this speaking engagement. Like, no, man, it was St. Michael Career Day.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't paid to be there. But what's been the feedback for you starting the podcast, and like what has been, I think, or what has been some unintended positive consequences from that?
Ooh, what a good question. All right, so I had a very similar thing when I first started out, because I started out doing podcasts for other people, and then I felt very hypocritical for doing it for others and not for me and for the industry that I'm in. So I would say mainly I'm in let's call it the restaurant industry, right? So that's what I love to do. I love hospitality. And I wasn't doing it for myself, and I knew that I needed to get out there. So in 2023, the end of 2023, I looked at Trent and said, by 2025, we're going to be on camera. I was like, and just to make it easy for you, I'll do it first, and I'm going to drag you in, right? Because that's how it's always going to work. And I did it in 2025, finally. At the end of 2025 is when I did it, but I still hit my goal. I never set like January of 2025.
Right.
Because at the time when I said it, I didn't really feel like I was gonna do it. It was one of those things like, dude, I'm gonna go skydiving. I mean, I did do that, but when you said like something crazy, like I'm doing this, and you never really do it, it felt like one of those things in 2023. By the time 2024 starts rolling around, like toward the end of it, beginning of 2025, everyone's doing this. So then you're talking about it's oversaturated. There's podcasts everywhere. No one's going to listen to you. And the thing is, they're not supposed to. You're supposed to find the right people that want to hear what you have to talk about. So the guests that we bring on, if you care about, let's say, if you like Rufino's, right, then you'll probably want to tune in to like, Chef Patrick or something and be like, how do you make your food? Like, how do you think about it whenever you're sourcing your produce or something, right? Like, you don't know all of those behind the scenes things until you see that. But if you don't care, you're just like, this is stupid, I'm moving on, right? You'll just swipe by. So that's fine. And my sister told me, she's like, do you really think like anyone's gonna watch this? Like, dude, no, I don't. You know, like I'm not that like like egotistical or like narcissistic. It's not like I'm not like, oh, people are gonna love this, dude. It's really not. It's you and I are gonna leave here, and then I'm gonna feel better. Hopefully, you feel better too. And the feeling that I'm talking about is I've been calling it filling my cup because that's how it feels. Because I pour into other people's cups all day, and then when someone pours into mine, dude, that feeling is awesome, right? Mm-hmm. So I try to pour as much as I can, but if no one's pouring into mine, obviously your battery gets depleted, you get tired, burnt out, whatever it is, and you don't want to do it. So finding the right people to do this with is probably one of the most important things I've learned. You know, you can't just have anybody on, you know, like I was telling someone, I'm not a guest collector, because some people just do that. They're like, dude, I'm gonna bring on everybody that I can, bring them on one time, you know? It's like, dude, I want to bring people on that we can have a conversation with, you know, like my buddy Jeremy Langlois from Homeless House, he just dropped a cookbook. I just bought it. He doesn't know that yet. But whenever it comes in, I'm going to call him like, dude, come back on the podcast. Let's talk about this. You know, like he's super proud of it. Like the food's amazing. If you've ever eaten at Homeless House, I'm sure you have. Dude, the food's freaking awesome, right? And I want to know more about where this food comes from. But maybe that's just me. Yeah. You know, like maybe some people don't care about the food. They're just like, it was good. I had a great time. You know, I'd go back, right? And I'm like, dude, I want to know where you got your meat from. You know, like how many people were cooking back there. I love all that type of stuff.
And it's a lost art, right? Like long form conversations, because we're doing text and voice memos and Zoom meetings and, you know, on to the next. And I find like if I'm not really intentional about an accountability partner, whether it's the people who are producing this or the guest, I miss out on that. Because like you, I mean, I have a bunch of kids. My wife like hit me up today at like 7:30. She's like, hey, we need to talk about something. And I'm like, oh God, okay, what is it? And she says, you know, are we going to go with this school in the future? Are we going to go with that school? And I'm like, babe, it's 7:30. I've got 10 meetings today. Like, I don't have like the bandwidth right now to talk about this. But it's just an example of guys like me and you, like how we're being pulled into these different areas, and yet having a place and a space to get our thoughts out and articulate them and figure out if it's good or bad or poke holes in. Like, it's just such a powerful phenomenon that is not about views. It's like self-expression, really. And, you know, I'm sure it's the same in your business too, but everyone wants to work with people who they know, like, and trust, who they can relate to, you know, who they can have long conversations with that's just beyond the transaction. Like, okay, here, you know, if Attract's doing your financials, here's your financials, talk to you next month. Like, no, like, hey, awesome job, biggest deal ever, you know, you earned an extra $20K this month. Like, what are you going to do with it? You know, like, are you going to take your kid to Disney World or whatever it is? Because we don't have that margin in our lives anymore to have friends separate from work. Yeah. At least I don't.
No.
I don't.
Not when families, like when you started having a family, like it was like, dude.
Your kids are your friends, your best friends, and your only friends. And my friends stopped asking me to hang out.
That's the fear. I keep saying that because like I have to say yes as many times as possible because I don't want them to stop asking. Right. Because they will. Like JP's always busy. I don't want that reputation because I had that for a long time. We were in the car with it was me and Trent. We were driving back from Hammond one day. And like I just had kids, and a buddy of ours was like, dude, we should hang out. Like we're on speakerphone. I'm like, dude, let's go. Like we should grab drinks or something, or do something. And then Trent said something. He didn't mean to hurt my feelings, but it kind of stung. He was like, we were just all laughing. He was like, dude, ever since JP had kids, he's been a hermit, and he's just kind of messing with me. And I was like, but he was right. And I was like, ever since then, I was like, dude, I have to. Like I can't be all into this, but I am that type of person where like when I'm doing something, I'm all in, which can be a superpower, but also when it goes into larger chunks of life, it kind of starts to hurt a little bit. You know, like if you're talking about a task today, like I've been thinking about priorities lately and how priorities used to come from the word priority, like the number one thing, right?
Yeah.
And now you have more than the number one thing.
Like favorites.
Yes. And you're like, dude, it doesn't work that way, but we talk in terms of priorities, but we don't work in terms of priority. And I've been thinking about like the one thing, right? That book. Huge help, long time ago. And I still think about it because I want to do 10 things at once. I know that's not good for me. I feel like I can, but somewhere my brain thrives on that, right? Because I'm going to finish all 10. I just don't know when. And then I've got people that like one thing at a time, dude. One thing at a time. I can't focus on more than one. And you're cool with that because they finish at the same amount of time too. But I wonder who's less stressed out, me or them, right? The guy who's like, I got to finish this right away. Or the guy's like, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on this. I mean, if it's going to get done, you know, too standard too, by the way. You can't just do it and just cross it off a list. Like that's not done.
Right.
Right. That's just like doing homework. But I think about that a lot too. It's that's why I like this. You just get your thoughts out, and then I learn from myself. Because sometimes I'll say something, I'm like, do I really think that? And then I'll have to do like a self check. You know, like, is that how I live my life now? Because there are certain things. So in my Notion, I probably should lean this way. In my Notion, I keep a list that's called rules and sayings that I live by. Because as a business owner or as an entrepreneur, period, no one tells you what to do. That's the best and the worst part, right? Like no one tells you what to do. You're like, that's awesome. And then you're like, what do I do next? No one tells you what to do, which is the worst part. So these time capsules are a lot of fun.
Definitely. And it's a microcosm, like it's a microcosm of my life as it relates to everything's important. And yet if everything is important,
nothing is important.
Yeah, then nothing's important. It's like in EOS. You know, I know we've talked about that in the past. It's like if everyone's accountable, no one's accountable. And yet
you can't share that accountability.
It's a paradox, isn't it? And it's something that like if you spend too much time thinking about it, then you're into it and you're like, damn, I just lost 15 minutes of when I could have been doing something like thinking about this. And so it's like, it's unbelievable. But I want to go back to something you said earlier before we dive into social media and marketing, because obviously that's fun, that's what we both are really, I feel like for me at least, is front and center in my work life. But you noted about putting the podcast together, and you said in 2023, you said by 2025. I know you're very goal oriented, just like me. I learned to write my goals down in 2016. Like I can't even remember what exactly it was, but it was the first time I'd ever wrote in a journal what my goals were. And it's so great to look back on it now and see that I've surpassed that. But do you write your goals down? And what's your process like?
I dictate. So complex problems I write. Journaling, brain dumping is, okay, so I don't call it journaling, I call it brain dumping. But it's the exact same thing. Whatever's in here, I have to get it out. And then if I can get it out, I can look at it and process it. Because if it's in here, it's overwhelming, right? It's a lot. And then if I can lay it out, I might do like a little mind mapping here and there, right? Kind of start making connections. I'll start making guesses about things. Well, maybe this does this and maybe this does that, right? You're just trying to put all the pieces together. And then by the time I look at it, I go, it's not that big of a deal. But until I write it down, I'm procrastinating, dude. There's anxiety. Like I'm probably like thinking about this while I'm like, bathing the kids or something, and it's like, why didn't I just do this? Right. So it was probably, what year are we in? 2025?
6 now.
God, oh God. Yeah. Jeez, man. 2026. That's how far, dude. Time is it just flies now, dude. Wow. 2026. But probably 10 years ago, I started writing down things or brain dumping things. And it started with physical journals or notebooks. I'm a big spiral bound guy, so I can rip things out, move things around. I find I have more freedom with spiral versus the paper bound ones. For some reason, paper bounds remind me of like composition books in school, and I'm just like, I don't want to do that. Like, so give me a good spiral. And I was writing down things, and I find that the number one question that I write down the most is, what are you so afraid of? So when I write that down and I look at it, probably takes me 30 seconds. Most of the time, it's like, nothing. I'm not afraid of this. But until I write it down, it's like, dude, you can't do this. Like, what if this goes wrong? Like, it's just so many things. And then you're like, oh, dude, the worst that could happen is I lose this, or the worst that could happen is I have to start over, or the worst, dude, let's do this, right? So I've been trying to shorten the amount of time I have from idea to completion. So that's another word I've been trying to use a lot lately is finish. Because I love to start things. I know a lot of people who love to start things, but they never take it to the end because they never have a clear goal of where they want to be.
Yes.
So it's just something they do. But once again, podcasts are to create connections with the people in my community, right? Because I think that's important in my life right now is expanding the amount of people that I know around me. Because for so long I was focused on my business. Well, technically at the very beginning of life, I was focused on me. Then a larger chunk was focused on the business. And then the last 6 years was focused on family. And then now it's crazy because like you don't lose one when you go to the next. You just start to collect them all. And then now I want a larger community. Like I have plenty of friends and I know lots of people, right? But there's so many more people out there. Like how many times do I go out somewhere and I like don't know anybody? But then in your like, I like the word microcosm, you can use it too, but like in your own little life, you feel like you know everybody. You know, once again, main character, right? Like I'm the main character of my story. Like everyone should know me, right? But you know that's not true. And then that's when you have to seek people out, because I feel like a lot of times now people don't do that anymore. They wait for people to like text them or call them, invite them. You know I did, right? Because you don't want to annoy them or you don't want to like overstep or like maybe they're busy, whatever it is, right? But for your friends, they want that because they're just as busy. So I've gotten to where like as soon as I try at least, as soon as I think about somebody and something cool, I gotta tell them. You know, like, dude, John, I saw you the other day, or you know, like, great seeing you at Jen's wedding or something, right? Like, if I saw you or thought about you, then I'd have to send you something, right? And then, but sometimes I don't, and then I feel bad, and then that it creates that anxiety, that guilt. Like, God, I should have done it when I said I was gonna do it, right? But I was dealing with this or at this phone call or whatever it was. But I've been trying to do more of that because it makes me feel good when people do it to me.
Yeah. I used to think, I mean, I dealt with that as well, like the fear of rejection. I wouldn't reach out to people. I wouldn't ask them to meet one-on-one because, you know, I didn't want to get rejected. And you listen to podcasts like this, and obviously you have to frame who's saying it, right? So for someone like you, I mean, you know, successful entrepreneur many times over, husband, father, like people want to hang out with you. So when you say like, I was afraid to reach out, but I reached out and it went through and there was nothing to be afraid of, like that's one side to look at it. And so then you listen to this and you're pumped up and then you're like, all right, I'm going to ask somebody. And then
that's the inspiration part.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they say, yeah, let's look at dates.
Yes.
Like if you tell me that you want to look at dates, that's the nice way of saying you don't want to hang out with me. And then I'm like, damn, but at least I tried. And doesn't hurt as bad as I thought that it would. And so you really can't lose, because on one hand, you ask them to go on a date or whatever. You ask them out and they say yeah, or you ask them out and they say no, and then you're like, that wasn't so bad.
I'll ask the next person.
It's a win-win. And so I think seeing that long side, and that's perspective too, because on the other hand, I could think like, oh, I can't believe I got rejected. You know, I'm not
Nobody
gonna ask
likes
the
me.
next person.
Yeah. I'm not going to do this again. And you're like, dude, no.
But that's the part of surrounding yourself with people who have that energy and knowing that like that person telling you that they wanted to look at dates is really just more margin for you to talk to that next person.
Yeah.
And you're going to go even further, you know, with that next person and like a win-win beneficial relationship. And so to this, basically you're 6 months into the podcast, initial thoughts.
Wow. It's a lot harder than it looks. And I talk for a living, as in like I talk to people, you know, like I like to create these connections with folks. And I thought it was going to be a lot easier because you see people do it all the time, but you don't see all the bad ones at the beginning. You see after all the ones. So I told myself, let yourself suck for a year and then figure out if you still want to do this or not. And while the part does suck, what I've found that I'm still myself. Like I'm not putting on any type of like facade, or I'm not playing a character. Like this is who I am, like day in and day out, you know, at home, at work, you know, when I'm playing, you know, like whatever it is. And I want people to know who I am, because we were talking about like clients and stuff, right? For me, I feel like it's a little bit different because let's say for the restaurant, for clients, it's just guests that come in who are hungry, right? Like how can I appeal to them? Like how can I show them the best burger, or how can I, you know, increase my service so they feel better when they leave, you know? But I don't know, man. Like it's, I just already lost my train of thought because it goes so quick. Because like that's the part that no one tells you about the podcast is like your brain goes so quickly, but your mouth can't keep up. So like the things that I want to say are already gone out of my head. And I'm like, dude, what was I just talking about? And then you feel stupid, you know? And then you're like, but wait a second. Like everyone's brain does this every single day, you know, especially when you get excited about something, you know? So you should do this, right? But what I found that I get the most out of is for the recruitment side for staffing. They know who I am. They know what to expect when they join, right? Like these are the things we care about. If you don't want to open the door for a guest, bro, you probably shouldn't apply. You know what I mean? Like, so as I talk about these things and set my standards, and they're out there in public, right? The right people will gravitate toward this. The wrong people will just make some excuse like, dude, y'all suck. Like, ain't nobody working there. And you're like, good. Like, I want to be an allergy to someone like you. Right?
Yeah, not for you.
Yeah. I want to attract. Oh, wow. All right. I want to. Sorry.
That's a good one.
A dad joke, dude. I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, man. Like,
it's intentional.
I know. I like that.
But you're spot on. Like, early on, growing businesses, you think client experience, customer experience, customer service. But what I'm finding is it's way harder to recruit and retain and incentivize and keep happy your existing team. And we have a great team.
And as you get bigger, too, it's harder.
Yeah, and you almost have to put as much deference in. I was like, I don't need an HR manager. Like, what HR is common sense, bro. Like, I could get an HR manual on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But at the same time, where we're at in our firm is hiring less on skill and more on personality and high agency. And isn't that the same for any company? But even more so now that the collective first-year staff accountant has my brain in their pocket and more, has everyone's brain in their pocket. And so we are really looking at, in our firm, and then I'm also kind of helping clients guiding them along the lines of, what's our hiring process? What do we look for? Are we recruiting even when we don't have an open spot? And walking into your restaurants, I feel like there's just a level of energy that is intentional. It's not accidental.
It's not.
Right? So before we get into like marketing, because this is kind of marketing.
This is marketing. So video production, like the production company, they make the content. Marketing is distributing the content to the right people, right? It's not just distribution, because you can send this video to 1 million people, but if they don't live here, what are they going to do? They're not going to be able to come eat my burger,
right?
So I have to hit the right people. But that's there's so much that we can do with this, like just having this conversation alone. The amount of snippets that they're going to be able to pull, and like people will start to get to know you from those little snippets. And this is what I told everybody when I started. The reason I do snippets, so if you like what you see, you can go find more. But I'm not going to shove the big thing in your face, because I know it's kind of boring, like an hour and a half, just two dudes talking. My kid said that one day. I think I just did like Patty G or something. I was watching it, like just to make sure I didn't say anything stupid. And then she came out, she's like, Dad, it's just 3 people talking about your life. And it's like, it sure is. Like, I never heard anybody talk about it, but like, yeah, it's just 3 people talking about my life. But I like that, because I want more people to know. I want to know more about other people's lives. Like, if I find an accountant, I want to know, like, what do you do on the weekends? Like, are you a family man, right? Like, what are your values? You find out so much of this from those behind the scenes, like, pieces that you show the world. And like, you show highlights, let's be honest. Like, no one's showing like the 2 o'clock in the morning breakdowns. You're like, dude, I'm never going to figure this out. Like, what am I going to do? Like, we're not going to show that. There are some people that show that because they want to show vulnerability, and, they want to create that, like, we're just the same kind of feeling. But I'm not that type of person to like show that. Like, if I cry, I'm not going to show you. You know what I mean? Like, that's something personal for me.
Yeah.
But if I'm like doing an event for somebody, or, if I'm there like serving food, or if I'm there, speaking or whatever it is, like, I want to show people that. Like, when we did like Most Blessed Sacrament, like, dude, huge, because then you show the type of person you are. I'm family oriented, Catholic, this, whatever it is, right? Like, there's a lot of things that you can tell people without telling them anything.
No doubt.
And that's why I think video is so powerful, because one 5-second video can tell you so much more than just me and you sitting down or just reading a caption, because I don't read captions anymore. I do captions strictly for SEO, and that's it. Because I know no one's going to read it. You know what I mean? Like, I hope I packed enough like information and like good things in it, but ultimately it's just for someone who's trying to search for these things. And then so whatever platform I'm using knows what this video is about. You talk about who your guest is, their past, or whatever it is. So like, as people are searching for it, you show up. I did try that out last year. So if you look up LRA Oktoberfest for next year, like it didn't work for the year of, but for the next year it will. my videos are the first ones that pop up. So I'm already starting to rank a little bit higher, right? So next year when the event happens and someone's searching for tickets or whatever, right? You'll see my stuff. And it's really not, are you gonna do something with it? It's how do I stay top of mind? I've been using the term top of feed lately because I think in terms of social media all of a sudden, like I want to be like the first 3 people you see every single day. Like every time you refresh this app, right? I want to be the first top 3. And how do I do that? I haven't really figured that out yet 100%, but I get there, right? We were talking about like, something's working when your friends text you, but dude, I saw that, right? Because they'll tell you, they want to be proud of you. They want to tell you good things. But if they don't see it, then they'll never know. And like you assume you make a video, everybody's going to see it. Dude, within a week, no one sees it anymore.
Right.
You know, out of like the 5,000 people who saw it, maybe 1,000 live around you, possibly. You know, like unless you're like targeting people with like paid ads or something, you never know who's looking at your stuff. You know, because it's all across the way. You know, obviously they give you like geographical breakdown, like this many people in Baton Rouge or this many in Hammond or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, so like there's insights, but you still don't know. You know, like maybe there's just attracting vegans or something. Like that's not, like you're not gonna like my content. You know,
No
like
doubt. Not
it's
for
very
you.
meat heavy. Yeah.
I've got this, I guess it's not a thought, it's a lesson that I've learned recently as it relates to podcasts and long form content like this, especially the AI tools, or call it GEO, you know, generative engine optimization. It's not so much SEO anymore, but to get GEO optimized, it's pulling content from these transcripts, right? And there is no easier way to get content out there than to just speak it. And you can add context and inflection and, you know, snips work, but long form works too. And repurposing this too is going to be really powerful. So I went to this mastermind. I joined this mastermind called the Driven Mastermind. And it's like 80 people from across the country, and it's expensive to be in, and they do like these quarterly in-person meetups. So the last one just happened to be in New Orleans. And so like by the, you know, just act of God, I went and made a lot of friends and people just like me and you. And the next one's in Austin, then the next one's in London. And these people are talking about like flying their families to London. I'm like, we are not the same, but I want to be in that realm, right? Like I've never even been across the pond and I'm 34 years old. But what they talked about was how this guy took all of his transcripts and put it into AI and told it to basically pull out common themes from all of these high achievers. And like that was what was important to these people who were influential. And so it must be important to their followers because they're influential for a reason. And then repurposing that into a newsletter that you could then track with HubSpot and your engagement and those types of things. And so all from just setting up some lights and a microphone, right? And so as part of like our marketing strategy, again, it's not only on the client base, but also on the recruitment base. I kind of use it as almost like an obstacle for folks to overcome. Like if you come to an interview and you don't know that we have a podcast, or you've never listened to a podcast,
You didn't do your research.
you didn't do your research.
You didn't care enough,
Are you high agency? Do you fit? And I guess now people know. Well, I guess you'd have to watch it to know. So it's like just deeper levels of the inception, you know, dream. But figuring out how we can repurpose this content, because before long, all of the content but for this is going to be AI generated if it's not already. And I feel at least that people still want that personal touch. I know I do.
I 100% do.
And so how do you work that into like, okay, your podcast, your marketing, your SEO, your GEO, like let's talk strategy.
Strategy. Ooh, what's my goal here? Like what's like am I trying to get like more views? Am I trying to sell something? Like what am I? It all depends on what I'm trying to do first. Like right now, I'm about to try my hand at like some Google ads and stuff. I've been running them for a few months now on my own, and like I'm learning here and there. The only way to learn is by doing. And when I start to learn something, I tell nobody about it. Cause like, dude, I feel stupid. I don't know what this means. Like, I have no idea what a conversion is, you know, like, or at least how they define it. and then like it takes a while, and then like by the time you start to talk about it, like, oh my God, you know so much. Like, dude, it's been 3 months of this, man. Like I've been deep diving in this. Like I gotta learn how this works, because if I don't know how this works, I can't use it. Because like I want to be able to drive. Like if something performs really well, I want to be able to throw some money behind it. Like organically, it does well. Then I bring it in, and then I'll throw $100 or something for the next like 3 days, right? And then as I do that with posts, more people will see it. But I want to now. I said this yesterday. I'm going to start doing that on Instagram, and then seeing how that works, because I've never done it on Instagram. I've just started with Google Ads, right? So now I want to see how that actually works and performs. And then I was asking ChatGPT, I was like, what metrics do I track to make sure that I'm learning what I need to learn and if I'm progressing or not, right? Because like I don't know what I need to be tracking right now. Like, so it was like start small, and I was like, the only thing you need to do right now is, well, as I was talking to it and figuring things out, we came up with, I just want to track how many people go from this Instagram video to my website contact us form. That's the only thing I'm tracking. Because you can track so many things, but it gets overwhelming, especially if you don't know how to track anything. Start with one, see how that works. I'm like, oh, now I start to understand. And then something that stuck with me recently was, because so many people say, I can't do something, like, they're just so negative about it. It's like, it's so impossible. And you're like, it's not impossible. You just never done it before. It's just unfamiliar. The more you do something, like reps. That was a big thing not too long ago, right? Get the reps in.
Yeah.
Right? The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it, right? No one's great at the first time they do anything.
Yeah, everyone's a beginner on their first try.
I went to this, it's called Moms Matter. It was a bunch of like mothers talking about anxiety and things that they go through. And, I just lost my train of thought, but I was just there. But I was there, and where were we going with this?
Well, we were talking about, let's
see how quick that was?
Yeah.
Dude, that was so fast, man. I lost it.
I went straight to this Moms Matter, like anxiety and...
Yeah, because it had something to do with what we were just talking about, right? Anxiety. Permission. That's where permission. Give yourself permission to suck.
Yeah.
Everyone's got such high standards of each other. I was coming back, dude. It had to come back.
Good thing we can edit.
Yeah, right. But standards, I'll leave it in, dude. Like I want people to know. Like I don't want to show people like this polished version of myself, because when I first started making videos, it had to be polished, and then I started to realize that's not relatable. Like, dude, everyone loses their train of thought.
Right.
Like everyone stumbles or stutters or does something or says the wrong word here and there, right? There's nothing wrong with that, But that's where I was like, that's where I heard the term permission, because I was using the word grace before. Give yourself grace to start, right? But I feel like permission, at least for me, feels better, because I'm allowed to do this now. I'm allowed to suck, dude, But while I'm allowing myself to suck, I kind of don't tell anybody about it, So all those things still kind of play together.
Yeah, so right now, obviously the restaurant, you've got is it a video production company?
Video production.
And I take it that your strategy is probably different for each entity.
Oh, yeah.
And can you talk about how that's different and, really what the goals are for each?
The goals for the restaurant are, once again, just to stay relevant, to stay top of mind. Because when you're hungry and you want a burger, you want to think of like, oh God, who was it? Like you'll probably name like 3, right? But if you just saw my post, like, dude, I just saw this, go here.
Yep.
Like how many times have you and your friends done that? Bro, I just saw this on Instagram, let's go here, right? Boom, super simple. That's why influencers were doing so well for so long. I don't feel like they're doing as well anymore, because once again, everyone's an influencer. So if everyone's an influencer, no one's an influencer, right? Like where am I going to get where do I go eat things from, right? So you still have your staples, where to go 225s and you eat the boots, right? You still have those guys, and because they started it and they're still doing that same content. But I feel like my feed's been cluttered with not one-offs, but people who do it for a month and then quit, And I get that you took the chance, and I get that you put yourself out there, but I also get that you gave up right before it was starting to get easier.
Yeah.
You stopped when you weren't getting any views, but you're not going to get any views. Like, dude, give yourself a year, But how many people can commit to something like that and not see true results for a year? Right after COVID, I think we were talking about business wasn't good for restaurants. How many people can stick through the crappiest part and still want to do it? Everybody wants to quit. As soon as it starts to suck, you're like, dude, let's not do this anymore. And you're like, dude, on the other side of that is where you learn how to be great.
Yeah.
So give yourself that time to break through that barrier, that obstacle.
And it's interesting too how you could look at other people quitting, and on one hand, you're like, y'all should have stuck it out. On the other hand, you're kind of like, damn, there's more room. Right? Because
Well, now you know like what you do is hard.
yeah,
There's a barrier to entry.
you're like, man, it's hard for everyone. And it makes you, there's like, I guess a sense of, community in that struggle. Like I can remember, when I played at Southeastern, I was a walk-on and I was like 5th on the depth chart. Like I was probably so low that they didn't even list me, and yet every year, so-and-so quit. So-and-so quit, so-and-so transferred, so-and-so got his wife pregnant or girlfriend or whatever. This person got injured, and just one step forward, one step forward, one step forward. And the next thing you know, I'm getting asked to be in like this magazine for like the football team. And I'm like, man, it's come a long way. But it was just those little journeys of sticking with it. And like speaking of the podcast, I mean, we've been doing it probably a little over a year now. And to your point, it's tough to keep going. But again, if we were self-producing this, it would be dead. It would be dead. But I know that we have earmarked a certain dollar investment to do it, and that folks are now kind of expecting it. And so if they ask me about it and I haven't done it in a while, I'm like, thank you for the accountability.
Someone held me accountable the other day. I just set one up today. I was like, dude, I got to get back in it because when you're busy, this is the last thing you want to prioritize.
Yes.
But you need to because this is who you are now. I wouldn't call myself a podcaster, but this is what I do, right? Like I sit there and I talk to people and we learn about each other. Like I love doing this because that's probably, I hate to say it, it's probably the most adult thing that I do all day. Is having another conversation with another adult human being that's not like a staff member that I need to correct or coach or something, right? Or my family or my wife or my kids or something. It's a real an adult conversation. And then you're like, wow. Needed that.
Yeah.
My wife will say that after she goes to like girls' nights or something, like they'll all get together. She's like, oh my God, I needed that. I don't even know what they talk about, but they probably just talk nonstop, like all like 4 of them at the same time probably. And then they leave fulfilled, a couple of bottles of wine later and they're like, everybody's like happy and they're reset for the next month, but like, that's what everyone needs. And I never thought about what I needed for the longest time because I'm a giver. I'm a people pleaser by nature and not in the, I don't have boundaries. Kind of like, dude, I love making people happy. Like, dude, what can I do for you? Right? Like, what do you need? Right? Better yet, I like to figure out what you need before I ask and then I just do it. And you're like, oh my God, I love that. Right? Because you can predict the future. If you're hammering something, you're probably gonna need more nails. I'll grab some nails I'll have next to you. Right? So it's just those little acts and not even acts of kindness. It's just little acts that you do that show people that you care. And like, oh dude, you didn't have to do that. I was like, I know. Like, no one asked me to do it, but I want to do this, right? So then you start to create that feeling where they'll do it for you. It's reciprocity, right? If you wanted to weaponize this, it is called reciprocity, right? There's a reason that when you go places, they give you a water and a Coke or something, right? Because now you feel like you owe them, right? So like on a very like low level, psychological level, that's what that feeling is. Like I don't ever want to owe somebody. It's like, dude, what can I do for you, right? And then there's that balance of power and all that type of whatever it is. So if you wanted to weaponize reciprocity, you could, but I like to think of it in terms of like what goes around comes around and how we pay it forward.
Yeah. It's like the law of attraction. Again, a shameless plug.
Yeah, I love it. I'm trying to figure out how I can use that word later on too.
That's paid off tremendously, like with our marketing and I was just literally reading the book, The Law of Attraction by Rhonda Byrne, or The Secret, and it's about the law of attraction. And it still trips people up because I have 2 C's in there. ACCT is the abbreviation for accounting. But all we have to do marketing-wise is in our next logo, just make that a different color, or make it orange or something. But looking forward, like from a marketing and a perception perspective, so you're staying top of mind on the restaurant side. And I take it's fairly easy to measure the effectiveness or not?
It's not. It really isn't, dude. It's so hard because everyone talks about like, what's the ROI? If you gave me a year, I could give you that number probably, right? But like on a month-to-month basis, I can't tell you what one video does compared to another. The only thing I can tell you is this many people saw my content and this was how many sales I got, right? So I know I track this part too. Like when I get up closer to like 300, 400,000 a month, like my sales climb. But when I drop down to like 50 to 100, my sales go down, right? And it's not, I heard this the other day and it hit me hard, dude, because you always assume, what am I doing wrong? people hate me. They don't like the food anymore. Like I knew this wasn't going to last. Like you're second guessing everything, and the more you second guess, I don't know. Once again, I just lost my thought. Dude, God, this is terrible.
No, you're good, man.
Dude, I love it though. It's like, dude, you're making me think so hard today. But like I can't tell you what the ROI is on these things.
Yeah.
Like I can't measure that, but I can measure when people talk about me. Because it's a feeling. So I know like bigger companies, you can measure all this, like how many clicks, like how many click-through rates. You can track so many things, like how many people are going to your website, how many people are filling out the form, like how many people are you setting up meetings with. There's a lot of things that you can track. For a restaurant, it's tough. I don't know how to track that. So if anybody can tell me how to do that, dude, hit them in the comments or something, dude. I'd love to know how you track social media for a restaurant effectively without it being more, I guess, like subjective.
Yeah.
I want more objective objective ways to measure restaurants' social media, right?
But you and your partners are in different realms where they both kind of converge to be great on social media, right? You've got the restaurant world where, you could go viral for the way a burger looks or a review or whatever it might be. And I saw that firsthand with my friend Cammie Wiesman, who owns Small Cakes.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I like Cam.
So she picked up King Cakes like 2 years ago, and it's been the best business decision she's ever made. She went viral. She got in with, Eat the Boot and Where to Go 225, whatever. And then, got with some folks who gave her some awesome TikTok reviews, and it just really blew up. That alone, the seasonality of that, like changed the course of her business. And I think it's really easy to go, not easy, but easier to go viral for food. And then, you talked about your partner in Our Moms with Trent Frazina, because I noticed that he's been doing a lot more social media as well. And the building world, man, there's something so appealing to watching a beautifully built building or house come to life. And yet nobody wants to hear me talk about accounting. I don't want to hear me talk about accounting. But can you kind of talk about like if you were influential on that side of getting Trent on camera or figuring out ways to say like, this is a lot of untapped potential to go not necessarily viral, but to stay top of mind. And you've got to come around to it. It's not a matter of if you should, but like when.
That was 2023 for us. So it took that long to do this. And how I know it works, I told him, I was like, there's going to be a time when you get excited about this. He was like, it's probably a few months ago, he was like, let's do podcasts together. I was like, I told you. I was like, I told you it's going to happen. It took a year for it to get here, right? But I told you it's going to happen. But for him, like, he doesn't think of social media as that important. He's I'm going to do the work kind of guy, right? But you got to be good at what you do, and people have to know what you do. And that's where the social media part comes in. That's where the marketing part comes in. It doesn't matter how awesome you are if no one knows about you.
100%.
Right? And so what he does, and what I do for him a lot, probably some of the last couple of videos I did at Parade of Homes, I just showed up. I was like, dude, I'm shooting you something, right? I'm going to put you something together. Like, he doesn't ask for this. He knows how much time it takes. I was like, dude, let me help you out, dude. Once again, how can I do something for you that I know you need without you having to ask me, right? That's how I show people that I care. I'm not going to be like, hey, man, I really like you. No, I'm not like, dude, let me shoot this video, right? Like, I'm not going to, we're not those types of people. We're not like, oh, man, you're
like
so,
love bomb.
Yeah, you're so smart today. No, dude, dude, no. We'll call each other names and then we'll move on, but it doesn't mean there's any less respect or there's any less love or whatever it is, whatever word you want to use. We've been together for so long now that it probably my first marriage, if you think about it, right? Because you have to be so committed to this person and this business and the things that you do and the way that you do things. And it's really shaped who we are growing up and to who we are as business people now. Because I know I'm different. It wasn't just about winning best burger like a million years in a row, right? It used to be about that.
Yeah.
Because that used to be that was my identity, dude. I'm a restaurant guy. I cook awesome burgers. But then now I'm like, my business is me, but I'm not my business. So my business is successful. Doesn't make me any more or less successful, right? But you think it does. And if your business is doing poorly, you think you're not being successful or you're doing poorly. And once I separated that, it's still hard, don't get me wrong, because these are your babies, you know, like anything that goes wrong, you're like, dude, like I let people down, like how am I gonna make this right? But that's a lot of that was learned through that commitment to what we were doing. You know, I'm sure you did the same thing. No one can have a successful business if you didn't go through that period.
Right.
And that's why I think I never even put this two together. That's why I'm attracted to people like you, to people like, you know, like anybody who's like, success is not measured by money, especially not by me. I'm not a money-driven kind of guy. I don't know what I'm driven, happiness probably. Like if I feel good, like that's really all I care about, right? Because, I mean, this is the part where I would say it's luck, but it was a lot of hard work. But luckily I'm out of that phase where like I live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, like once you get past that step, it's a lot easier to save money. It's easier to invest. It's easier to do a lot of things. But if you're still paycheck to paycheck, there's no way you're going to be able to think this way because you're still strapped by the stress of your financials. So you have to get to a certain point where you're comfortable enough. And then, well, I got to a point where I was comfortable, then I got to a point where I was really comfortable, and then I got to a point where I was like, I want to spend this money on the people around me and build a better team. Because up until then, probably about 3 years ago is when Trent and I stopped running these restaurants ourselves. Like we ran it for over a decade, you know? But we realized we wouldn't be able to grow if we were working in the business and not on the business. And the last 3 years, I think we're talking about this too, the last 3 years was so hard for me because I felt like such a failure. The economy wasn't doing well. People weren't going out to eat at restaurants. Staffing was hard as hell, right? The workforce was just terrible because no one cared. No one wanted to work. I lied. I couldn't find the ones who did want to work.
Yeah, that's a different perspective, isn't it?
Yes, because I know they're out there because I say that now because that's what every hiring manager wants to tell you. Everyone sucks, dude. Like no one wants to work like they used to. While the majority of what you said is correct, you're also very wrong. There's a difference between hard and impossible, right? So they're out there. Because I make statements like this all the time to people as I'm coaching them. I'll tell them, a person like me won't work for a person like you, and this is why. You're not organized. You're not leading anybody. You show up, everything's on fire, right? Like you're not taking care of your team, right? You're expecting your team to take care of you. And then that's kind of like how I think about it because those are the types of people that I want. I want people like me who are going through college and like, because that's what I did for all the companies I work for. I gave them 100% as I was learning how to do more things for myself, right? So it wasn't like I was devoting my entire life to them. I used them to learn. And in return, I treated them right. They treated me right. And that's pretty basic when it comes to employment, but it changed a lot, I feel like, since COVID. And I've said this a lot too, but I felt like the shift, that swing went from very employer heavy on like the power side of things. Like you do what I tell you because I pay you, right? Especially in the corporate world. And then when COVID hit and everybody shut down, the employees had all the power and they abused that, dude. They abused it hard, right? Talking about like, I won't work for anything less than $25 an hour. And you're like, dude, you have zero skills, right? Like you still have to think like you're trading skills for money here. You're trading time for money, experience for money. You're trading something for money. What are you trading? But they didn't have anything to trade. But yet they acted like they did. And like when they didn't show up, you felt it. So you needed it. First time in my entire life I've ever let anyone no show, no call me. And I was like, but I'll see you on Sunday though, right? I was like, that's not who I am.
Yeah, that's not the standard.
Yeah. But yet during that time period, that's what we were dealing with. And like no one saw how hard, I mean, I'm not no one, like not that many people saw how hard it was because they weren't in that area where they had to coach people to be better. And that was tough, dude. And then I had to, building the team, I've made probably in the Hammond, I've had 3 not so great general managers recently. Not because they were bad people, they were just bad fits for me, right? Like I'm not looking for someone, you said agency, I love that word. I'm not looking for someone that I have to micromanage. You know, like if you're an accountant, come do accountant things. Yeah. Right? I'll teach you how to, you know, like clock in and get paid or whatever it is, right? Like onboarding. I'll teach you all of these things. But at the core, you have to be good at what you do. Like whether you're a server, a cook, that is the bare minimum. Like be good at what you do. And then we can help you be great. You know? But if you're not already trying to be good, I can't do anything for you, man. So attitude, when you said you hired for attitude and not skill or experience, I might be paraphrasing, but attitude is everything to me. It has to be because you can't teach it. It shows you who you really are as a person down to your core. When crap hits the fan, I almost did it. When crap hits the fan, I want to know, are you cool or not?
Yeah.
And that's not saying, do you not get stressed out? It's how do you handle that stress? I saw a dude this past Monday just running around like crazy. They weren't following the system. So the systems are there to make your life less stressful. There's a reason why we do sections. There's a reason why you don't take bar tables and elevated seating and hammock, because it's across the building. It's a long building.
Yeah.
That dude was running back and forth like crazy. And I was like, why didn't we go by sections? He was like, well, in the time we're just rotating. I was like, do you see how, like, since you skipped a step, it made you way more stressed out? But in the moment, you thought cutting this corner was going to save you time and energy and stress. But every time you cut a corner, you're going to pay for it. You just don't know when. But chances are you pay for all of those cut corners at once. So don't do that, man. Like, it's so easy. Like, you know, like, I can't think of how I would cut corners. I can tell you a Trent story about how he cuts corners, or how he doesn't cut corners, rather. So when he was wrestling, and I think Trent was, 2 or 3 time state champion, Catholic High, right? He never said he was stronger than anybody or better than anybody. The only thing he told himself was, I'm going to outwork them. If they're out partying, I'm going to be running, right? If they're doing this, I'll be doing this. So when he would run, this is the level of accountability that he has for himself is insane. I've said this from like the first year that we worked together. Like, I'm pretty ambitious and driven. I can't touch him. This dude just goes, you know, like that's what he thrives off of, right? Like, we all need or want different things in life, and it's not right or wrong. It's just what's good for what you want in life. But he would run, and if he thought he cut a grass corner or something, he would still run, and then would just wear on him. It would just wear on him and wear on him to where he would have to go back and then make sure that he did. He's like, dude, did I cut that corner? You know? So I think about that when I say cutting corners a lot, because it's easy. Like, no one's going to know, right? Maybe I don't sign off on this. Maybe I don't check this 100%. It's usually pretty good, so I'm sure it's good this time, right? And then out of nowhere, you're like, well, I don't know how this happened. You're like, you know, and you're like, yeah, you do. Like, you know exactly how this happened. You were supposed to do this, but you didn't. That led to this, but they don't think more than one step ahead.
Right.
You know? For instance, I've had so many people say this, you're talking about problems, and like everyone knows that sales cures all, right? And then like, we'll increase sales. For someone who's not in the business, you're like, cool, that's awesome. We're going to increase sales. My question is, what are you talking about? Like, talk to me like I'm stupid. How do we increase sales? Like, don't tell me sell more burgers. Like, how do we increase sales? Are we focusing on in-house? Are we focusing on like outside sales? Or is it catering? Is it banquets? What are we going to focus on? You can't just increase sales. You'll never hit that goal. You're just going to hope that I hit that goal of increased sales. But if you focus on one thing, I can promise you'll increase sales, right? Obviously, if everything else stays the same, not one thing goes up and everything goes down, then that's pretty screwed. But I think about that a lot too.
What's interesting to me, kind of hearing your story, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, like first you wanted to cover your bases, like financially, and then you came into this different realm, and then now you're really living for others and levels of service and stuff like that. It kind of reminds me of like how standards shift, and we talked about the standard during COVID with the employees really having no downside,
none,
and the risk was all on the employers, and you think about how the tide has turned in, let's just say, college football recruiting, right? Like, now you're paying players. Okay, the standard has shifted. You look at medical marijuana, which is now just legal recreational.
It's just weed now,
Like, isn't it weird to think about how the standards have shifted? When you were talking about how you and Trent had a different mindset towards social media and podcasting and being in front of cameras, that was the same for me. I always felt so arrogant in the most respectful way possible, but arrogant of like taking a selfie. I'm like, man, like, how much do you have to love yourself to take a selfie? And yet it's now the standard.
It is the standard.
It's not taboo to me anymore.
For dudes at the beginning, it was. Dude, when girls were like hitting, like,
yes,
I would love to see a girl selfie, right? Like, so it wasn't weird. But when you saw a dude do one, you're like, bro, Like, what are you doing, man? Like, dude, get your life together.
Right.
And then now all of a sudden we're taking selfies everywhere we go.
Yeah.
Because you're just documenting your journey at this point.
Right.
You know, but the standard, you have to get over that, like that fear of judgment.
Yeah.
Because if enough people do it, then we're all the same now.
You're
but if you're the
resetting the
only
standard.
one, yeah. But then I'm starting to think, like, I don't want to be, like, there's another saying that we think about, like, if you do the same things as everybody else, you'll get the same results as everybody else, right? And then most people are just trying to have a good, easy life, man. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But they're also never gonna own private jets or something. I'm not saying I'm gonna own a private jet or anything, right? But I might timeshare one. I don't know, right? Probably not even do that. I'm not even that big on, like, vanity metrics and stuff. But I told Trent at one point in our career together, I was like, I don't have any goals anymore. Like, I've done everything that I said I was gonna do. I grew up poor, I had nothing. My parents came from Vietnam, bombs blowing up around them, you know, like not knowing where the next meal was coming from, like all of these things. And yet I still went to Our Lady of Mercy, I went to Catholic High, I went to Loyola, went to LSU, you know. I still went to all of these like good places, and that's where I met a lot of like the good friends that I have now. You don't know how important it is about your kids' friends until you have kids.
Yeah.
Because then you start to think about the friends that you had and like your mindset back then, dude, it's just like, what's the matter, bro? Like, you know, like it matters a lot.
It does.
Like how you like the trajectory of your success in life is based on who you know. And I never wanted to believe that. I'm one of those, I used to be a very firm believer into like, you do it. You're in control of your own life, right? Like that's what I've always done. Like if I've had a problem, I fix this problem, right? I wouldn't stop until I fix this problem. And then now you're like, wait a second. Like, what if you have the solution to this problem? All I had to do was pick up the phone, right? And you're like, dude, yeah, I had this problem last year. This is what I did. Because I do this for so many people without even thinking about it. Like, dude, what would you do? Or how did you get through this? And you're like, dude, this is what I did. I'm not telling you what to do, but this is what worked for me, and this is why it worked for me. But like I said, it wasn't too long ago where I was like, I felt bad for asking for help. You know, like I'm terrible at asking for money, by the way. And I need to start asking people for money because I'm on a couple of different boards and like, we do fundraisers.
Yeah.
You know how weird that is to be like, hey man, can I have $5,000? I'll put your logo on a sign, dude, you know, like, and then I'll say the same things that every other crappy salesperson said, exposure and visibility, and like, people will see you, you'll get out there. And you're like, I feel like all of that is like almost like a sham, right? But then you start to think, I donate to everything. So anybody who asks for me, I donate, but I know why I donate. I donate because I want to help. I donate because it makes me feel good. I don't donate for a tax write-off.
Right.
You know, like I never ask for those things. I don't even know what those things do, to be honest. I probably should. We should have a conversation about that after.
Yeah, I'll help you out.
I feel like that's right in your realm, right?
And I also have a board fundraiser coming up too that we'll talk about offline.
Yeah, I'd love to help.
No, so but you noted it, man. Your standard has shifted, right? Like we go from being scared to ask for money to like it almost being like a sign of respect.
Yes.
Like, man, I respect so much of what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job. Like, would you consider pouring into me, or pouring into this, you know, as others have poured into you? And, you know, another standard, crazy to think about, online dating.
Oh, I missed all that, by the way. I'm so mad. I tell my wife all the time, I was like, if you die, I'm going nuts, dude.
Yeah, it's, I'm just thinking about like, 10, 15 years into adulthood, again, time capsule. Like the things that we're afraid of now in 5, 10 years are going to be norm.
Yeah.
And
having cameras in your face. My kids don't even blink an eye anymore.
Yeah. We watch a lot of the Bucket List family. I don't know if you've heard of them, but this guy, Garrett G, he sold this app to Snapchat and like made $40 million. And he and his wife like retired, and they've got 3 young kids, and they travel around the world and they document. And he says like, I always just wanted to make home videos and just share them for people. Like it wasn't about monetization, but the podcaster asked a question about like, when did your kids know that y'all were famous? Because he got like some golden play button award or like 1 million subscribers or something. And the kids thought that everybody had that. And they go on vacation, they meet other kids and they say, well, what's your YouTube channel? You know?
Oh yeah, 'cause
How
that's their
wild is
life.
that?
Yeah.
And it's becoming just the norm for kids.
Kids have YouTube channels now.
They do.
It's nuts.
It is nuts.
I have to like stop my kids from watching because it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if you watch that type of stuff, but when there's like adults and kids, it's like, what are we watching here, man? Because my wife will fill my head with all the things that she sees on Facebook or something. She's like subliminal messaging and like, you know, they'll tell you to kill your family or something in the middle. And it's like, does that happen? Because I've never seen it, but as soon as I turn my eyes, right, I'm like, dude, they're showing it right now. Like right now, my kid's thinking about this, you know? So I don't ever let them watch that. But dude, you can't police that anymore. Like even things that are kid-friendly, they're not really kid-friendly, you know?
The standards have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I worry about that, like with my kids too, like with cell phones. You know, I mean, I think your kids are a little older than mine. How old are yours?
6 and 3, it's almost 7 and 4.
Okay, so my oldest two are about that. I think your oldest is about a year older than mine. Yeah. But like you're in it too. You know, the next couple of years, like my kid's already asking me for a phone.
Yeah, to play with mine. And I'm like, and every so often you're like, dude, here you go. And then you're like, what am I doing to your brain? Because I know what it does to my brain.
Yeah.
You know, I try not to scroll as much because I can feel like just like dopamine just being depleted.
Yeah.
Dude. Like my drive, my motivation, everything just goes. And then I start to second guess everything. And then I'm like, well, why am I not like this person? You're like, dude, I had to think about this a while ago too. That whole comparison is a thief of joy thing.
Yeah.
And then I don't know where I came up with this. I think it was like brain dumping one day, but I was like, your success doesn't take away from my success.
Right.
But yeah, you're comparing yourself to people who aren't even in your industry. You know, like in your industry, we do it too. Like there was a point in time where like everybody was opening up so many restaurants and we were like, what are we doing wrong? Like we're making money. I thought we were doing a good job, right? Like why aren't we able to do these things? Then as these people are opening up super quick, they're also closing super quick as well. And then now I know better. It's like, oh, I didn't know there's like 14 investors in this one, right? So there's no reason, like there's a reason why they were able to do it so quickly. But what we like to do is if we can't do another one and make it work, we're not going to do it. Like right now, we're holding off on the Prairieville thing, not just for the construction part, but because of the people part.
Yeah.
It wasn't until probably a couple of weeks ago that we were like, all right, time to revisit this because we have the right people now. But without the right people, what would we do a third? So like I have like 2 that does well and 1 that doesn't. I want all 3 that do well, you know? But if you're not prepared, you're going to lose one of them, you know? So I'd rather keep the 2 that I have, add a third when I'm ready versus just do 3 and then lose them all. Mm-hmm. You know, because like, dude, once you're spread thin, it's like a snowball effect, dude. Like things start to go bad very quickly, right? And when things start to go bad very quickly, your team starts to lose faith in you. When they lose faith in you, there's no way you're going to get them on board, right? So luckily, we've never really had that problem where like the team's like, dude, y'all suck. We're not doing this. They know who we are and they know what we're going to do. It's very weird that they know this. Like every time we have like bad management, no one tells us until it's too late. Like we have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Right? Like they start dropping the ball here because no one starts bad. Like that's the thing. When you hire best foot forward, first 3 to 6 weeks, everything's awesome. They're just above and beyond, right? And then give it 6 months, maybe a year. Usually about that year mark is where it happens for restaurants, right? A manager will start to fizzle out. Mm-hmm. But they fizzle out because they never implemented the right systems to make themselves not stressed out at work. So when you have meetings with me, I have certain requirements. This has to be done. I have to have this report, whatever it is, right? So you still owe me. But if you're not making your team pay you, they're not feeling any of that. Mm-hmm. And then you do it for so long because you don't want your direct person to be upset with you. But then you're not realizing that all of these people are supposed to be helping you to get to where you need to be. You think you need to be filling out these checklists? No, there's a shift lead, there's a kitchen manager, there's a whatever it is, right? But you're not developing them to give you what you need, and that's why they burn out. Mm-hmm. I just started doing this. Well, I'm going to start next week, to be honest, because we're always trying to come up with new ways of how can we help our managers be better? Because I focus more on my director of ops, and I hope that he brings it down to these managers, and these managers bring it down to the staff.
Right.
I can tell you that doesn't happen. It does to a certain extent, but not to the level that you want it, right? And Trent brought it up because we were like just problem solving things. He was like, I don't care, do a buddy system, right? Like you're always with the same person every single time. I was like, dude, that was kind of genius, actually, right? Because I've never done management training with the director of ops and the general manager and the assistant manager and all the managers underneath them, right? So this time I was like, I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna run through with the me and the director of ops, we've already done it, but apparently he's not passing it down because there's something that is preventing him from doing it. So I say this, I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody because I've figured this out, and it took me a long time. But just because you don't do something that I ask, it's not because you're not it's not because you're not a good person, it's not because you're bad, it's not because you suck or you're stupid. There's something in your way that's preventing you from reaching that goal, but you're not gonna tell me because you don't wanna look weak, you don't wanna sound like you don't know how to do your job, right? So you're gonna say, I got it. I used to believe that. And then I used to get really, really disappointed because like, dude, we had this conversation. We wrote it all down.
Yeah.
Like we came up with action items. Like we did this. Like what, right? So now, going back to my to the manager training part, with my director of ops, I created training videos because when he came in, he was like, dude, it's hard to train. I don't know your system. I was like, dude, no one knows it better than me. I'll create a training video, right? So I created training videos for all my managers, all the core concepts that we use, SOPs for everything. So I needed to do this anyway.
Yeah.
Because a person teaching another person only goes so far, but if it's in black and white, you have reference.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like the Bible.
It is. Just go back to it, right?
Or any other religious text. I mean, there's a reason why it's written down, right?
Because you want to remember it the exact same way every single time. It's like the game of telephone. Like the more you go down the line, the more you just lose whatever it is in translation. So my idea now, I'll tell you if it works or not in a few weeks, but I'm going to take my director of ops with my general manager. We're going to do the thing, right? And then I'm going to take all of them, I'm going to add in that next level. I'm going to take all of them and then add that next level. Because that's the only way I can guarantee you, A, saw and heard everything you needed to, and B, I got to ask you questions that you understand or not. Because the understanding part is the part that nobody wants to tell you. Because it's hard for some people, right? Like I get it. Like it's not, I have to try and practice problem solving. It's a skill, I'm not gonna say it ever came easy, but I knew there was an answer. If someone else could do it, I could do it, right? So there's an answer out there. What am I gonna say? I can't do it, right? That's never been my personality,
Right.
Ever since I was little, right? So I won't stop. I think that's when people ask me like, what's your like the best characteristic that you have, or like the thing that made you most successful, I'm not giving up, dude.
Yeah,
I don't
won't
care.
quit.
I don't care if I'm like bleeding on the ground. Like I'm not quitting. Like you better knock me out or something, right? Like it better be like physically I can't do it, because if it's a mental thing, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because I need to get better at that. Dude, I got to show you something actually. There's this word. So I talk about doing hard things. The faster you run towards something difficult, the faster you have a hard conversation, the faster you do things that scare you, right? The better you get at it. You're just talking about it. On the other end of rejection is confidence.
Yes.
Right? I didn't realize, and now that I say it out loud, you're gonna call me stupid. I didn't realize there's a part of the brain that actually controls this, and it gets stronger the more you use it. And I had to screenshot this because I came across it today, but because I'm not gonna remember what this is, but it's called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. And I'm not a doctor, so I'll probably ruin that one. But there's an actual place in your brain where when you do hard things, it makes you want to do more hard things, and that's where resilience comes from. That's that grit, dude. Like, I'm not giving up, but you gotta practice. So, that whole saying, what practice makes perfect practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah.
Because if you practice, if you practice like something crappy for so long, that's not what you're gonna do,
Right.
You're just going through the motions. But if you practice winning the whole time, I talk about this a lot with people too. Like when we get tired, we all get tired. I was like, this is the best time right now because you need to do something and there's every reason for you not to. Now beat it, right? And then you feel so good. And then now you don't have that to do for the next day, right? But until someone says, dude, do it. Stop being a wussy, right? Like, just get it done. And then you're like, and then you get it done. But I love accountability because I need that from the people. Like I give people accountability, but I also need it. Like, there's only so much that I have in me,
100%. And I think as like we wrap this, like I'm thinking about a common question is like, what's next? Like, let's talk growth and where we're at as a firm, even especially with AI and improving our company inside out and not necessarily becoming this huge battleship.
Yeah.
Right. Like I want to be a speedboat. I think as the firm grows or as any entity grows, the bureaucratic red tape comes along with it. You got more decision makers and things of that nature. And so when you're talking about the growth of our moms and the brand of, sticking with two, you're not stagnant because you're not getting that third. You're getting better as an individual, more accountable, more resilient. You're teaching the level below you resiliency, and then below and below. And you can't quite measure it, but you could feel it, can't you?
When you walk in, I call it vibes.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that I check when I walk in. Someone's gonna check if the bathrooms are clean. Someone's gonna make sure like the tables are set. I walk in, is everybody happy? Are you smiling? Are we joking around? Right? Because if you're not joking around with me when we walk in, dude, what are you gonna do at the table?
Right.
You know, like they'll know you fake it. You know, like I need someone who's not gonna fake it. So I have a trainer in Baton Rouge, and she hates it because she's like, I don't know as much as anybody else. So I was like, that's the point. You're not teaching them what to do. You're teaching them the type of person that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
I want someone like you. I want someone who's happy, someone who helps other people, you know, someone who like cuts up with the guests, right? That's what we all want. That's why we go out to eat. We want that connection.
Yeah.
It's an experience that we're going for, whether it's a $11 hamburger or a $45 steak, right? You're there for the experience. Because if you didn't, you probably just DoorDash it. If you were just hungry, you just grab something to eat, right? So it's not just a sustenance thing. It's a social thing. And because like I have this game that I play, I like to ask my servers if anyone looks really upset, and then I want to go talk to them. Because if I can turn your day around, you're going to remember me forever.
Right.
You're not going to remember the food. You're not going to remember the meal. You'll remember moms, right? And I do that so often because I like it, right? Dude, what's your name? What are you doing here? You know, like you have your laptop out. Are you working? You know, you're just asking questions, getting to know people. And then it leads to other conversations.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they're like, dude, thanks for the conversation. Like, dude, likewise, right? And then they'll remember you because that's what we're trying to create. That's what I'm trying to sell, technically, is that experience. The food should be good.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's not, like that's an easy fix, right? Find the right people who care. You know, the recipe's are already there. If it sucks, change it, right? But that feeling that you get when you walk in, when someone describes my restaurant with that feeling, there's this like overwhelming amount of pride because that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like the numbers are something different, right? The metrics are something different, but the feeling, that's why we go places.
No doubt.
And that's why I love the hospitality thing, man. It's because AI will never take that.
No.
AI can't take that from me. You know, I can put my phone out here with my face on it. Wouldn't be the same. Could say the exact same things to you. Not the same. Right? So.
And so that's the time capsule that we're shutting now.
Yes.
Is that this point in our careers, in our business, in our lives where success is not more, it's just better.
Yes, yes.
That's how I want to end this thing.
Yeah.
It's better.
Success is better, yes.
That's awesome, bro. Well, thank you for being here, JP, man.
Thanks
this is
for having
awesome.
me, man.
We got to do this more often.
We do.